predator hunts certainly are becoming very popular. Many of the sportsman club across the UP are either holding one or sponsoring one, so it seems every year another one kind of crops up. Questions come to me, is this going to affect, negatively affect the population of these species? Bobcats certainly, like I said, are very low numbers utilized at these events. Fox are just anecdotal things too that really don't come up in any numbers that would concern us. As far as coyotes go, our coyote population is very good. Early stuff that we've seen in the predator prey work that we've been doing in Menominee County and are continuing to do now in Iron County suggests that we likely have populations approaching about a coyote per square mile in the Upper Peninsula. So again, the numbers that they are taking at these harvests simply are not going to affect those population levels. And you can even look historically at what's been done with coyotes. Practices that are certainly not socially acceptable anymore, such as gassing and poisoning and aerial gunning and those kinds of things. We're still unsuccessful at wiping out coyotes. There's still just as many, if not more, coyotes across the United States. So really, we have no concern that this is going to have a negative population or negative effects on the populations of coyotes. Another secondary positive effect that this predator hunting could have is we do experience a significant amount of coyote depredation to livestock owners in the Upper Peninsula, as well as in other parts of Michigan, even into northern and southern Michigan. In fact, our coyote depredation almost is on par with the amount of wolf depredation we get in the Upper Peninsula. So any effects of removing some coyotes close to farms and those kinds of things can have that added bonus of helping out that local farmer possibly lower depredation rates on his livestock.
A real common question we get is what kind of firearm can I use to predator hunt in Michigan? If it's daytime hunting, there are no restrictions outside of firearm deer season. If you're within firearm deer season and you don't have a firearm deer license, and then you'd be prohibited from using centerfire rifle or a shotgun with buckshot, slug. But if you do have a Michigan deer license, you can use any firearm. When it comes to nighttime predator hunting, you're limited to .22 caliber rimfire rifle only, or a shotgun, and you cannot use buckshot or slug loads at night. As far as bag limits go on coyotes, we get a lot of questions. If there is a bag limit, and there is no bag limit up here, you're limited to 2 bobcat, 1 fisher or pine marten, and 3 otter. And it's good to look in your hunting guide every year because regulations and rules change, and you can get kind of behind the 8 ball if you don't pay attention to that. Some years you might be able to take more, some years less. Keep you out of trouble by taking a minute to look at the major regulation changes. Another issue that we face quite a bit that's important to pay attention to is bobcat, fisher, marten, and otter need to be brought in and sealed. If there's no seal on those pelts, a taxidermist won't take them, you can't sell them, you can't do anything with them, and there are deadlines for all 4 of those animals. Again, it's very important to take a look at the guidebook. Not just to look at the major regulation changes every year that may or may not have happened, but also it's important to note that the hunting and trapping seasons start at different times depending on what animal you're targeting and depending on if you're resident or non-resident. And then also on the tail end of that, like we spoke about earlier, the bobcat, fisher, otter, pine marten, any of those are required to be sealed. And the reason for that is that if the season ends, say mid-December on a species, and you want to bring it in March, how do we know you didn't catch it, in that period in between when the season was closed? So that's a way to control that. Nighttime predator hunting with a light is okay. You're not required to wear hunter orange if you're hunting during the hours of darkness. You're restricted to using .22 rimfire or smaller caliber rifle, and you're restricted to a shotgun without any buckshot, slug, loads, or cut shells. And also, talking about hunter orange, you don't need it at night, but during daytime hunting, if you're hunting coyote, fox, and bobcat and you're stationary, you don't need to wear hunter orange anymore. That's a fairly new law. Electronic predator calls are legal in Michigan. Just keep in mind that when it comes to turkey and waterfowl, those are the two things that are unlawful. So anything else, you're okay to use.